What's up, it's Super Chase here, and today I'm doing the best Pokemon decks in the current standard format at every single budget. I'm covering if you have $5 to spend, if you got up to $100 to spend. I'll show you guys the chart that I'm using right now. We got a Literate Peasant tier at $5, Optimistic Surf at $15, Clouded Clergyman if you have 50 buckaroos to spend, and then if you're the Kanto King and you got $100 or more, because anything past that is purely cosmetic, you're the Kanto King and you can afford the nicer things in life. So, before I even address any of the decks, ace specs are cards you can actually only run one copy of in a deck. So, you can't run all these, you can only pick one, and then you can only pick that card and play it at one. So, if we can afford any of these at a certain point, which the only affordable ones kind of are here, so from Master Ball down, is what we can afford for a Literate Peasant tier, because Roaring Moon in the Ancient Box deck is insanely good and might be the best deck on this entire list. It's all made up of commons. The great part about modern Pokemon is it costs nothing to play this game at an insanely high level. So all you're paying basically in Pokemon is like purely cosmetic stuff. But I'm showing you these cards because these are all key cards in the strategy. But Roaring Moon, the whole deck's around Roaring Moon. You use Vengeance Fletching. This attack does 10 more damage for each ancient card in your discard pile. So the whole gimmick of the deck is you run a ton of ancient cards and you get a ton of cards in your discard pile and use Roaring Moon as your main attacker, and it's super good and it can do a ton of damage. I mean, it's base 70, which is already really good. It only takes 2 energy and it's a single prize Pokemon, so it covers a lot of bases. And then it has the ancient gimmick, and if you've seen the other ancient cards, everything lends really nicely to the deck. Check Ancient Booster Capsule out if you're completely new to this. If you play this deck, you already know what I'm talking about, but if you're new, these cards are crazy. So the ancient card is attacked to gets 60 plus more HP and recovers from all special conditions and can't even get affected by the special conditions. So you have this as well too, which is a plus 60 on all your Pokemon, because that turns this single prize Roaring Moon into a 200 HP stick. So it does make a difference, and the Flutter Mane's really good. This shuts down all abilities as long as Pokemon is in your active spot. Your opponent's active Pokemon has no abilities. So crazy good card. The other card I like in this deck is this Koraidon, which is brand new as well. This common, all these cards cost literally 2 cents. Check this attack out. This attack does 30 more damage for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. So Primordial Beatdown, you can just stack your bench with all ancient Pokemon, even other Koraidon, and then just swing for big numbers. Again, 2 energy, single prize. With the Ancient Booster Capsule, it becomes 200. This deck is really good. It costs you absolutely nothing. I know I put a Literate Peasant here. This is purely for jokes, but wow, Illiterate Peasants, their money goes really far in this list, because yeah, this deck is really good. Moving on to the next tier, we have Optimistic Surf. So $15, an extra $10 to play around with, and I would basically get the Feraligatr deck and pair it up with either Hero's Cape, or I think Maximum Belt's probably the better one to go with this. It does 50 more damage to your Pokemon EXs, so most decks you're going to play against are EXs. So basically you throw the Maximum Belt on, 50 more damage, and then you use Giant Wave for 160, but here's the catch about Giant Wave. It has an ability where once during your turn you may put 5 damage counters onto this Pokemon. If you do attacks used by this Pokemon, do 120 more damage during your opponent's active Pokemon this turn. So Giant Wave turns into 280. So you're swinging 280 on a single prize, which can knock out most EXs in the game. And if you have a Maximum Belt, then you're swinging 330, which can knock out everything. So Feraligatr's kind of a scary deck. It costs very little. You can either get it non-holo or holo. I doubt it will be much of a difference. The whole line, as long as you get some rare candies, $15 can get you the whole deck. Same thing with the Ancient Box deck too. If you go to your card shop and you get all commons, yeah, $5, $15. These are very realistic prices. Now moving on to our next tier, I have the Clouded Clergyman. So $50 again can basically get you any deck in Pokemon at a certain point. There's one deck that I have for the last tier, but if it's not that deck, it can basically buy you any deck. I think Chien-Pao and Charizard, because $50 allows you to get the Pidgeot engine too, so you can get Pidgeot and the Charizard, and you can get Chien-Pao and the Backsline and the Ultra Balls and the Nest Balls. You can get the whole deck under 50, both of them. I mean, to most people, I mean, even to me, these are 2 of the best decks in the entire game. It's just probably like 1 and 2 right here, or 1 and 2, depending on who you talk to. But Charizard and Chien-Pao, really amazing decks. They do so much damage. They're very, very scary. Charizard just does more damage as the game progresses and just becomes scarier and scarier, and Chien-Pao can just do insane things with Shivery Chill, generating energy, and then Baxcalibur. It's a crazy deck. And moving on to Kanto King, so for $100, which in this economy is not even that much money, $100 gets you the most expensive deck in the game. And there's a reason I said expensive, because to most people I wouldn't say this is even the best deck in the game, but it's Future Box, so Iron Hands, Iron Crown, mainly just because Iron Hands, even the base version, this is like a $20 card each, and a lot of lists you need 4, so it's like 80, and then you need the Iron Crown. If you get base models of both, you could definitely get it under $100. I just have the full arts pulled up here, but yeah, it's a solid deck. It's really good. I'm building it myself. I'm still having to test it a lot. Inherently, the cards are just really strong, and the strategy is just there visibly on the cards. If you could see, amp you very much. This card is so good that it's getting splashed into any deck that can basically fit in this card and an electric energy, like Sheen Pow, for example, which doesn't run any electric anything except this and just one energy, so it can fire off Iron Hands, and then it has backs to basically make up for these 3 empty energies. But Ampy very much basically can take an extra prize card, so it's just really good. And if it pays single prize deck, see that against like a Roaring Moon is unfortunate because it takes 2. Again, Roaring Moon, that deck is really scary, and Ancient Box is a very, very potent and competent deck. And yeah, it's crazy. Iron Crown though, you put this guy on the bench, all your future Pokemon except him, that's a pretty important thing, except Iron Crown, but he doesn't even touch damage, do extra 20 damage. So hopefully you get 4 of these in the bench, and then you use Iron Hands, and then it can one-hit KO the Ancient Box deck. But that's, late game, everything goes right, and if you let Ancient Box set up. I just think they're both really strong decks, and they're very, very strong. One's the most expensive deck in the game right now, the other is the cheapest, and they're equally as good. That's my take. And if you can afford Prime Catcher, this is like by far the best ace spec. It's not even close. It's so good, and it's literally just pick your Pokemon you want to attack into. There's a lot. The reason I like this is because it's always applicable. It's always usable in every single game, and a lot of cards aren't that way. Like Maximum Belt, for example. Let's say I run a Maximum Belt in my deck, and that only works against EX and V Pokemon, and I run into Roaring Moon. I just have a dead trainer. It's not the worst thing in the world. You can Ultra Ball it off, you can ditch it off, but having a really broken card like Prime Catcher and being able to play it every single game, I just think over a long period of time it's a better card to play in the deck. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment down below. I absolutely love making these videos, love talking about Pokemon. This shit is just so fun to me. I just enjoy it so much. Well, anyways, guys, hope you have an amazing rest of your day or morning or evening or wherever you are in the window of time. I'm signing out. Peace.